Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining us. I was last in Wisconsin, I believe, a year ago. Tax Day, 2011.
Yeah.
In the snow, for those of you who were there. And I can clearly remember, first of all, that I was in Wisconsin in the snow. Coming from Los Angeles, a treat. And being in this, where the lieutenant governor's office, and coming out, and every time you came outside and you came back in, you had to be searched. But the crowd was out there, and people were offering me their coats. They're like, "You're not dressed for the occasion." And I'm like, "I know, I'm not dressed for the occasion. I mean, I didn't know that it was going to snow. It was Wisconsin, I should have thought about it." And I came back in one of the times, because it was cold, and who comes barreling from the other side? I don't even know how he got in that way. Andrew Breitbart. He had just come, I think, from Florida. He'd come through Chicago. "Andrew, what are you doing here?" "Sarah Palin asked me to open. I showed up. What do you want me to do?" They had asked me to speak about Andrew Breitbart's legacy in regards to citizen journalism. And that's not an easy thing to do. So I want to set a couple of basic things with you, a couple of ground rules. I am not Andrew Breitbart. I am not trying to be Andrew Breitbart. I am a man who has learned, like we have all learned, and I want to engage that conversation with you. I am very wary of the person who says that they are the next Andrew Breitbart. There was one, ladies and gentlemen, a hell of a man, who did a tremendous amount of work for all of us in this nation. And like so many of us, my phone started ringing at 6:30 in the morning and didn't stop. People crying on the other end of my phone. "Tell me this is a joke. Tell me this isn't real." I can't say that Andrew Breitbart and I were friends. That wouldn't be right. That wouldn't be fair. That wouldn't be honest. But you run into so many people who really feel this connection to the man. They feel like they were his friend. The amount of people who speak to me, whether it's on radio or face-to-face, and no matter where I was, Andrew remembered my name. He remembered where we met. He would take the time. Who am I? He would take the time to talk. It's an unbelievable testimony to a man's life and to what he meant to people. But more than that is what he leaves us and what we take from him. Extremely important. This idea, this concept of citizen journalism, and it starts, one man's opinion, by the way, my opinion. Yours may be different. We can get into it. Maybe we'll do some Q&A. You never know. His legacy starts from the idea that nobody gave him permission, because nobody gets to tell you whether or not you can report the truth.
That's right.
You decide if you want to report the truth. ABC, NBC, CBS, MSNBC, CNN, New York Times, Washington Post, LA Times, they do not get to decide for you. You decide for you. When James O'Keefe made the Acorn tapes, Andrew had talked about this. Nobody else would even play them. Andrew would, because the story was there. The story needed to get out. Who are these people? What are they doing to us? How are they affecting our lives? What is it that they're perpetrating, this fraud against America? The legacy is not so much the tape, it's that he played them. And that in a world that told us what news was, he said, "No, this is news. Because you refuse to carry it doesn't mean it isn't news. It is news because it is. Because news has truth. And the truth is, it exists. And because you don't want to talk about it doesn't mean it is not news." That's one hell of a thing to say. And put it in context of the time in which it was said. At what point in history, I'm 39. How many people here are 39 or younger? All right, we obviously have a lot of work to do. How many people here are 39 or older? Obviously, you have a lot of work to do. I grew up in that place where I went from watching, I born in Brooklyn, grew up in New Jersey, so you watched Channel 4 with Sue Simmons and Chuck Scarborough. And I went from that place where the first news story I truly remember, so help me, truly remember, the first news story is Al Sharpton Tawana Brawley. It is the first news story completely ingrained in my mind from the 13-inch TV that sat in our kitchen that you turned with something called a knob, kids. And you had to get up. And in a little thing called a junk drawer, you had a pair of pliers, but that's another conversation. So I grew up in that transitional stage from media being 3 stations to media being me, to media being we. And when you take a look at the people and the things that made that so, there was blogging, and blogging had been around for a while, and it slowly picked up and slowly picked up. But blogging was usually about thoughts. It wasn't about news. What Andrew Breitbart did was completely beyond convention. Not only had it never been really done that aggressively, it had never been done that unabashedly. We look at people now who put forth that they're a news organization, who put out news there and they're willing to defend themselves. That didn't happen 5 years ago. Ladies and gentlemen, meet the legacy of Andrew Breitbart. It wasn't about the news, it's about the fact that he played it and he did it unabashedly. You're going to attack me from telling the truth? Prove me wrong. When he took the stage, which I believe is the zenith, it was a moment beyond compare. When he took the stage in New York at the Anthony Weiner press conference. I mean, if you have kids, put your hands over their ears. Son of a bitch. He did what? Is that Andrew Breitbart on the TV? People went crazy. He happened to be in New York. He knew that the press conference was going to happen. He was sitting in the back of the room. This is how the story is told to me. And reporter after reporter told him to get up there and answer questions. So he did. And the best line from that press conference is, everybody told me I was lying. Everybody told me I was a liar. Tell me one lie. Show me one provable lie. Show me. The genius, the legacy of Andrew Breitbart is not that he reported the news when people told him he wasn't allowed to report the news. It's not even that he did it unabashedly. He turned it back on you and made you responsible for not doing it. You're going to call me names for doing it. This is his entire methodology, that there is indeed a hardcore leftist press against you, against us, against we the people, against the nation. Their job is to push a narrative, not to push news. And he said, no. The job is news. The job is the truth. And I'm going to tell the truth, and every time you call me a liar, I'm going to say, prove it. I say it a little bit stronger sometimes. But I don't want to say it again because there are kids there. Hi, how are you? You look great today. Thank you. One of the great stories that I heard from, one of the things that I do with radio is I fill an off-in for Dana Lash. If you know Dana Lash, she's a contributor to CNN, and she hosts a fantastic show down in St. Louis. I don't know if it's on against Vicky. If it is, listen to Vicky. If it's not, listen to Dana and listen to Vicky, or listen to Vicky, then Dana, then Vicky. Vicky's on the air like 72 hours a day. I don't know how this happens. 900 stations in Wisconsin. They build stations just for Vicky McKenna, to be honest. Unbelievable. And so I filled in for Dana while she was at the funeral, and then left my studio to head down after my show to the memorial. And one of the stories that was told was this, that one of the great responses that he would give when being questioned about, well, God, all right, I'll use this as the example because I'm here, I mean, it's behind me. Americans for Prosperity, well, they're just funded by the Koch brothers. And the response supposedly that he would give goes as follows. So? Do you know the kind of brain power necessary to come up with that answer and let it sit there? Don't. One of the things I think is fantastic and something that we take as this legacy is my job is not to defend your failure to do your job. You push out a false meme and it's my job to correct your meme for you? No, my job is to call you the liar that you are. You push out a false meme and my job is to somehow be offended by the fact that you're lying? Absolutely not. I reject the premise out of hand. That's not my job. For so long, we, who disagreed with the hardcore leftist progressive press, have been put on the defensive. There's something wrong with us. There's an issue with us. There's a problem with us. We hate America. We hate children. We hate people of color. We hate women. Prove it. Every single day, it seems to me, one man's opinion. He was making you prove it. And the genius of the conversation of so? It's not that he pushed the news and the truth. It's not that he did it unabashedly. It's that he was so completely confident in the conversation of right versus wrong that he was willing to put himself out on the line every single day. That's a legacy. That's a legacy that most people dream about. What is it? A hero dies, but a coward dies 1,000 deaths. A hero dies but once. Is that the expression? Do I have it basically around here? The effect of the legacy. I'll take it from me, and it's so funny that Brian and Vicky should have this sign. That's Saul Alinsky. Because you have to understand the fight. Part of the legacy is the recognizing of the fight. You taking my picture, Nancy Mulholland? You have to recognize the fight. Now, I don't know if everybody has to do it or has to have the fight that he had for that cause. Some people fight statism. I do. Lots of things to fight. Some people fight in a specific area. That's good too. But the recognition that it is the press that has failed America. One of the things you're seeing on Breitbart.com, the vetting of the president. That was immediately called racist. That was immediately called fear-mongering. No. We're doing the job you guys didn't do 4 years ago. Nothing upsets the hardcore leftist progressive more than being told they didn't do their job. Then again, they don't like doing jobs anyway. The legacy of Andrew Breitbart and the discussion of it, I have to tell you, I don't think I've ever given a speech sitting down in my life. I don't think I've ever sat in one place this long in my life. But it required, for me, and to engage the conversation properly, a kind of reset of the mind for what we're talking about because I'm very clear that I'm not him. And I think that the people who are trying, if there are people out there who are trying to make the attempt to say, I am the next, no, you're not. I am not the biggest fan of the I am Breitbart hashtag on Twitter as much as I am the fan of the hashtag Breitbart is here. Because in the end, in the reality, in the ultimate truth, Breitbart is here. And we are people who stand quite literally on the shoulders of those who came before us. In a philosophical version, we stand on the shoulders of Burke and Locke. And for our founding fathers of Washington and Jefferson and Franklin. We stand on shoulders to get a better understanding of what freedom and liberty is. We don't have a free press. Exactly how in the world do we engage freedom and liberty? We stand on these shoulders to be able to get a better look at the field, to see what's happening, to figure out. It's why we read, it's why we study, it's why we share this information. It's why this conversation on vetting the president. It's racist to know that there's a man out there named Derek Bell? Absolutely not. I reject the premise. You put a video out about Derek Bell. So? Is there something wrong with the video? Or is it what he says? We stand on these people, and we get smarter from these people. And with Andrew Breitbart, I truly believe this. And I've known about this speech for a while, and I didn't have this until yesterday. We stand on the shoulders of these people to get smarter, to understand about freedom and liberty, and where rights come from. Rights do not come from government. There are natural rights that come from God. And we institute governments amongst men, that they derive their power from us. They do not give their power to us. That's an unbelievable thought. That is a revolutionary thought. And the founding fathers came to America and put that thought into action. The how and the why of America, the Constitution and Declaration of Independence. Remarkable documents, first of their kind, based on those who came before them. And the founding fathers giving us the documents that allow us to grow. And that when something isn't right, the opportunity to correct it with amendments, to make it better, in order to form a more perfect union, not a perfect union. And we stand on these people, and day by day, and week by week, and month by month, we get smarter and we get better, so we can see the field fully. With Andrew, it's a little bit different, because Andrew didn't teach us how to see the field. He taught us how to play the game, and we're going to win. Events like these are how we win. Things that you saw Eric Telford and Tabitha Hale here from Franklin Center is how we win. Blogs and videos and radio shows and supporting those shows and pushing out those videos and creating those videos and moving the truth, that is how we win. And never sitting down when we hear a lie is how we win. And challenging the lie at all costs everywhere we are is how we win. And confronting the occupiers, those evil elitists, is how we win. Calling them by name, speaking the truth to power, let the chips fall where they may, that is how we win. That is the legacy of Andrew Breitbart. My name is Katz. Thank you.